I have Air Marshal Anil Chopra, former chief of the Center for Air Power Studies, joining me on this broadcast. Air Marshal Chopra, extremely unfortunate. The IAF has just confirmed this is an IAF Tejas that crashed in Dubai. From these images, can you make out something? What may have led to the crash?
Yeah, it's, Gaurav, very unfortunate that, this crash. Some of the videos are already visible on TV channels and we are all seeing it on Twitter. It's very unfortunate. It's some downward maneuver of the aircraft, whether it was part of the display being watched because it was 2 o'clock, 10 minutes local time in Dubai, which is close to 3:40 here. That is about half an hour back. So this is very unfortunate also because aircraft is still under development. That's our first major aircraft program, and it was important. We had gone there to showcase the aircraft. But what could have happened, one doesn't know. It's too early to conjecture. I am only hoping. From the videos, it's not possible to make out whether the pilot has ejected or not. But we are all hoping as pilots that he would have ejected and he would be safe. And that's the first priority for us. So, yes, the aircraft did, there was a big ball of fire the moment the aircraft hit. That happens in any fighter crash. So it is unfortunate. Whether it was an HAL aircraft or Indian Air Force aircraft, it doesn't matter. It's an Indian aircraft.
Yes.
The pilots with the HAL are also ex-Air Force. They're all test pilots. And therefore, this is rather very sad.
So
And
when you look at
deeply
these
worrying.
images, what can we conjecture? What could have gone wrong? Because my mind instantly goes back to that air show in Delhi, where a new Mirage aircraft, which was a part of that air show, if I remember correctly, went down. It was the third loop when that aircraft had gone down. Now, in this case, there are safety ceilings on the loops, and what is to be done, isn't it, sir? There are standard operating procedures in every aspect.
Yeah, that aircraft Mirage that you're talking about, I was getting my award, the Vayu Sena medal on the same day, and I was an eyewitness to the whole display. Not only that, I had been the flying member in the court of inquiry that followed thereafter. That was a totally different maneuver. It was a downward Charlie that the pilot was trying to do, a kind of maneuver which fighter aeroplanes do not do nowadays around the world. That was a different. But in this case, in LCA profile, we have already seen it during Aero India and during the Air Force Day. The LCA profile is such that they do aerobatics loops, barrel rolls, but they do not do a downward Charlie, which is the case in Mirage 2000. So it was a downward maneuver. The aircraft had been continuously going down. The rate of descent didn't seem to be too much. I personally initially thought that the aircraft should pull out of the dive. Now, there's any amount of conjecturing one can do. What could have
Yes.
happened? Loss of thrust, could have been control issues, but it's too premature. We shouldn't do that. And all I want to say is that it is very, very unfortunate. In a foreign country, we have had an accident where we went especially to showcase the aircraft. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely, because a lot of questions will automatically be asked. What could have led to this aircraft when it was on a downward dive, unable to pull up, loss of engine power, loss of thrust, some other reason? Air Marshal Chopra, stay with me. I also have Air Marshal Sanjeev Kapoor joining me on the broadcast. Air Marshal, sir, you've been DG Flight Safety and Inspections. What is the procedure that is followed in such a case to know why an aircraft went down?
See, it will all depend upon the pulling out of CVR and FTR after the accident. It's very unfortunate, as the Marshal Chopra was just saying, and one does not expect this kind of mishap to happen in a foreign land. The publicity, the good publicity covered through your channel also in last 2 days about the wonderful feedback which the global aviation community has been giving to the stages has certainly, been marred by this accident. The FDR and CVR would be pulled out, and of course, after the team goes there, would they be in a position to say what exactly happened? It's too premature to say at this stage.
Okay, if it's loss of thrust, why would you have loss of thrust? Would they also be looking at aspects of the kind of fuel, is that something that's in consideration? Because Air Marshal Chopra, the aircraft that goes overseas would have the best of spares, the best of components. Would they wait for the life cycle cost, life cycle to change those components, or they would anyway have the best of components put in, and a surface
No, no.
aircraft would be sent overseas?
Yeah, Gaurav, that I must tell you, not only for overseas, all operations that we do in the Indian Air Force, the aircraft when it takes off is absolutely serviceable, 100% safe, absolutely. I want to add a few more things.
Yes.
In an air show, normally there are a lot of ground cameras positioned to videograph. Not only that, the team LCA itself, for their own debrief, videograph the entire, actions. There'll be whole heap of media people from all over the world who would have been, videographing this program. I have myself been the flying display director at Aero India in 2003, so I understand this whole mechanism. And there are enough safeties. There are daily briefings for all aerobatic displays by the flying display director. So a lot of things in terms of safety are put, especially in air shows, because the aircraft is trying to demonstrate and impress the public and the professionals, especially the countries who may want to buy, by doing maneuvers which are at, extremes of the envelope of the aircraft.
Yes.
So therefore, there are a lot of things in a flying display. You will have hundreds of videos which will be available to the court of inquiry to be able to make out. Plus, of course, as Air Marshal Kapoor said, that the FDR voice recorder and various other, means will know, and too early only to conjecture at this stage. Yeah.
Because our biggest thing, Air Marshal Kapoor, would be to find out, which we cannot from just this little clip that's available, whether the pilot was able to bail out, hope to God he was. But from these images, does it appear whether, he was able to bail out or not?
The only clip I'm seeing is through your channel. And in this bowl of smoke and fire, one exactly cannot make out the ejection seat going out. It's a 0-0 kind of ejection seat, so where the pilot can eject at any stage. The canopy busters are there, the spikes are there for the pilot to eject safely at any altitude, any speed. So that's okay. But the descent at which the rate at pushing in closer to the impact on ground is something which has made me think that what could have gone wrong. And it is, you would be the best people to tell what is the state of pilot at this stage through your means. We have no means to find out about what is the state of pilot at this stage.
Because the last conversation between the ATC and the pilot, Air Marshal Chopra, whether there was a mayday call, what happened, all of that would also be extremely critical, because when the pilot must have taxied out to take off and was carrying out the maneuver, every bit of information is recorded. Is also there's a conversation. So will that shed some light?
See, it's not only the air traffic control. There is a flying display control room which is set up at where the air shows are happening. And in that room, there will be professional pilots and controllers who will be sitting, who will be controlling the air display. Because at that moment when this air display is going on, there is no civil or other flying taking place. Everything is stopped. It is only the display. And I must also mention that there will be an LCA pilot who will be also sitting there, because ultimately there's such a variety of aeroplanes which fly in an air show. So a type qualified pilot has to be sitting in the flying display control, and therefore all those safeties are put in place when you carry out a display of this nature. Yes.